from fictional cults to real life cults, there are many, many variations of either happy-go-lucky or doomsday to straight up just pure doom. Join us tonight as we're doing part 2 of last night's episode. What you just heard is just a fictional cult called Bright and Shiny, and it's from the motion picture Bubble Boy starring Jake Gyllenhaal. But you can't get the physical copy of the movie anywhere, not even on Amazon. We've looked it up, trust me. But yeah, it's a banned movie because of, kids living in bubbles and the realism that people live. So join us in a few minutes as we keep going through the whole motions of the cult saga that me and Cookies had started yesterday. So welcome to part 2 of last night's episode. As you have heard, last night Cookies and I had started discussing cults in movies and in real life. Tonight, both he and I are off, so it's just me tonight, guys. We are going to be delving deep into some other cults that we were talking about, or I was planning to discuss. So, right now, we're going to be covering a cult from Japan called Aum Shinrikyo. Aum Shinrikyo was known as a Japanese doomsday cult that changed their name to LF. And if you may or may not know, they actually did a terrorist attack on the train system, and they're containing or using a biological weapon called sarin gas, and it actually caused a lot of people to get very sick. I don't even think there's any casualties in that whole matter. And what the thing was, there was actually 6 attacks. There's a couple attacks from that cult in general. And their cult leader, whose name was Chizuo Matsumoto, actually changed his name to Shoko Asahara. He claimed to be Christ himself. So he would actually incorporate Buddhism, Hinduism, and employed Christian Millerian rhetoric into this whole philosophy. And the thing was, this wasn't really like a normal cult, guys. It was like where people of all walks of life could join in. He actually had targeted or kind of like sold it to people of more of a wealthy standing, because he had scientists, lawyers, doctors. He even had military personnel inside the organization itself. So he had a thing where he had a final conflict regarding, considering a culminating. That's the word I'm looking for. Culminating a nuclear Armageddon. So which kind of puts in the whole sarin gas thing, how they were creating biological weapons. There was another cult regarding like biological weapons and regarding that, and that's a cult back east in the United States. They were like a Hindu group. I forgot their name. I'll look into that in a minute. So anyways, back to Aum Shinrikyo. An organization changed its name later to ELF because they didn't want anything to do with the whole doomsday group, because of like what happened with the sarin gas and the many assassination attempts on the Japanese royal family and such other like personnel, military personnel, grudges that they had held against Shoko Asahara, people who actually held grudges against him. There was one where he actually attacked somebody that actually survived the gas attack, and they were going through neighborhoods with the refrigerated truck, like releasing the gas. Yep. So it was placed under surveillance for a period of 3 years under the it was like an anti-terrorist group law. So they had figured out some shit was going down, and they were considering the group to be a threat to society regarding the I guess you could say the propaganda surrounding it. That they actually did have like he had interviews with people, his seminars, and was getting a lot of attention, but not in a positive way. They actually did have an anime out, and I'm just gonna play you a quick clip. Yeah, so you can find this anime on YouTube. It's actually in its whole entirety on YouTube. There's like small mini episodes of this, which is like baffles me that yeah. Hold on. You're gonna hear it behind me. So you're hearing like the buzzing thing. That's because it's like the way the way it was uploaded. It's like it's being dubbed from a VCR. So that's like a snippet of it, and it's just two people talking before it gets into the whole thing where you actually do see Shoko Asahara's anime character levitating. So yeah, there was actually like a bunch of things that like they were doing that caught the attention of the law. The group had never really confessed that they claimed that those who carried out the attacks did it so secretly without being known, that other executives and ordinary believers didn't have any clue of. But there's so many stories bouncing back and forth about it, and there was really no clear response or answers to any of it. But they said that he was innocent, but he's not. He actually, in one of the interviews, he was upset that he didn't kill anybody, just like severely poisoned the people on the train, but there was no deaths. And like I said, he had recruited people of wealthy standing and of different careers. So he actually had people who were working with the military, the Japanese military, when they were doing the raid on the compound that he did have. They had confiscated biological chemicals. They even had a helicopter, a military helicopter there. So without any, like, how do you get a military copter into that compound without anybody noticing, unless it was somebody working from the inside?
He was rich.
That
people supported him, and he was rich.
Yeah.
He used money from the shit that he did. He probably made and sold stuff.
So this is like what I found on Wikipedia regarding Shinrikyo and his doctrine. Asahara his purported mission was to take upon himself the sins of the world, as he claimed that he was Christ reincarnated. He claimed that he could transfer spiritual power to his followers and ultimately take away their sins and bad deeds. While some reject Shinrikyo's claims of Buddhist characteristics and affiliations with Buddhism, other scholars refer to it as the offshoot of Japanese Buddhism, and this was how the movement generally defined and saw itself. Asahara outlined a doomsday prophecy, which included the Third World War instigated by the United States, according to Robert J. Lifton, an American psychiatrist and author. he described himself in the final conflict culminated in nuclear Armageddon, borrowing the term from the book of Revelation 16:16. Humanity would end except the elite few who joined Um's mission was not only to spread the word of salvation, but to also survive these end times. Asahara predicted that Armageddon would occur in 1997. Kaplan notes that his lecture Shoko Asahara referred to the United States as the beast, and from the book of Revelations predicting that it would eventually attack Japan. So he actually had that whole, his prophecies and all this other rhetoric that he was spreading within his compound and his followers, and there was some that were, I guess you could say, his own true believers, thinking he was God and all this, like he was Christ, and then you have the ones that were actually believing the other side of the cults, I guess you say the true mission or the true religious following. I can't talk right today. I'm always like this right now. I don't know why, but okay. So, and then it's actually like just like the small meanings of the actual like Shinrikyo. Is actually rendering and is known as simple truth, and it derives from the Sanskrit syllable and is used to represent the universe. And Shinrikyo. Meaning roughly teaching of the truth. So you're basically saying teaching of truth in the universe is basically how it's kind of pronunciation or like putting it together. The organization had changed its name from Shinrikyo to Elf, or was it Elf? Elf, it sounds like elf. But they had changed it. They changed their logo, they changed their meaning and the rhetoric, and the person who took over being the head of the organization condemned the activities that was brought by Shoko Asahara and his followers. They were, even though the dangerous part of the cult had been taken out and taken care of, they're still being monitored because of the behaviors that the followers and that their old leader did in the past. In 2006, Shoko Asahara lost his appeal against the death penalty once they raided Japanese police raided the offices in order to prevent any illegal activities by cult members in response to confirmation of his death sentence. 13 of his followers were eventually also sentenced to death. So he actually was hung. That was his death sentence. But like I said, they are still under surveillance because they have been there are ties to Russia. In April 2016, an investigation had announced that that was being taken place. There was an investigation in Russia, and the criminal case against the cult had ties to Moscow. There was literature being spread throughout the whole thing. If you can hear the laughing, that's my mom and child in the background. So the raids continued from, throughout the whole thing. Like I said, they've been continually monitored because of the people that were involved in the sarin attacks, the assassinations attempts against the Japanese royal family, military leaders and such. There was actually a Tokyo car attack in 2019. A sympathizer named Kusakabe, I don't want to pronounce the first name because I'm going to butcher the hell out of that name. Kusakabe told authorities that he intentionally rammed into pedestrians crowded into a narrow Takeshita Street in Harajuku District as a terrorist attack in retaliation for an execution. It remains unclear whether he was referencing to the 2018 executions of Shinrikyo's Doomsday Cult members directly or making a broader statement. The attack on New Year's Day left 8 injured, and the 9th person was also directly injured by the driver. So there's a lot of messed up shit that he did, from claiming to be claiming to be Christ, claiming to be, he can give you supernatural powers, or try to give you all this shit and make false promises, and him bringing on this whole rhetoric that he can actually do this and this, and if we do this, make a change, that maybe all this, and spreading the propagandas that he did, whether it was manga, anime, and just pamphlets and shit like that, word of mouth, recruiting people that they thought they could, have in their palms and shit. It's crazy. You can find all this stuff on Murderpedia, Wikipedia. You can find online, through news articles and stuff like that. So what I did was scout through that for a minute. Like I said, I did play a small clip of the Doomsday Cult anime, and it's just it's weird. It's a normal anime, but then you see him trying to recruit people, and he's levitating and going through the sky, and it's okay, kind of it's kind of it's trying to appeal to other people that are computer geniuses. You know how they say most computer geniuses are are into anime and all this stuff, and they might get into a bigger, broader sense if they can get different types of people who work in different types of departments. Biochemists that were involved in that cult. I think 2 of them were the ones, were some of the ones that were executed because they were the ones that did create the sarin gas. Them using actually arming religion as a weapon regarding Buddhism, Hinduism, and perverting certain teachings as a way for them to make their cult work still is a very nasty thing to do, because most cults in today's societies do use religion as a weapon, saying saying, if you don't do this, God's gonna strike you down. If you don't, it's some when people, you're watching stuff from I Escaped a Cult, or Escaping Polygamy. You know how they're the religion says this. You have a bunch of strict rules or strict laws regarding all this, regarding the the religion itself. It's you're going against the church, or you're going against your religion to go against all this other crap, and they kind of push it against you and make you and guilt trip you to keep following or whatever. It's weaponizing. When you weaponize a religion to fit your own personal agenda, and that's what makes you a cult leader. And there was that one quote, person who starts a cult knows it's bullshit, continues to spread it. And then that's the difference between a religion, because in religion, the person who started it is dead. So what happens when the cult leader dies? It becomes a fucking religion. So, and that's how you get Scientology people. Yeah. So that was Shinrikyo. Let me see. Haha. Yeah, so there's different types of cults, and out there regarding there's different organizations, different cults. You actually had the Branch Davidians, the People's Temple. The People's Temple was Jim Jones, we were talking about the People's Temple last night, and I had to explain to Cookies what is Jonestown's tea really was the Kool-Aid and cyanide mixed together. You have Heaven's Gate with Marshall Applewhite and the Hale-Bopp Comet suicides. And then you have different, like, there's the Church of Scientology that is actually a cult. They have the Family International that's run by David Berg. You have the Order of the Solar Temple. There's different variations of different cults out there in the world. Either they're regarded as just like a solely based religion or a church itself, or they prefer to call it a church or just like a union or something like that. There's something wrong. You have the Rajneesh movement. I think this is the one. Hold on. Hold on. I think this is the one I was talking about. Yeah, this is one. The Rajneesh movement. This is what I was talking about, where they had like biological weapon, biological warfare weapons, not weapons per se, but chemical. What this was a group of followers of a spiritual teacher, Rajneesh, later known as Osho. The citizens and leaders were responsible for launching the 1984 Rajneesh bioterror attacks. Well, they attacked a small town in Oregon. So, the city of Antelope, Oregon, became the focal point of this whole conflict because the Rajneeshis bought a big plot of land, and they bought like small number lots in Antelope, and they started taking over the town, and the town wasn't having it, so they were refusing service to the people involved into that whole sector and all this. So they decide they're gonna go and do some botched, like really bad shit, and yeah, it was just messed up. I mean, just reading up on it right now. There was a bombing of Hotel Rajneesh in Portland by the Islamic militant group Jamaat ul Fuqra. I can't pronounce it. If I fucked that shit up, I'm so sorry. Further heightened tensions, the display of semi-automatic weapons were acquired by the peace force regarding creating an image of imminent violence, and those rumors arose from to the National Guard being called in to arrest Rajneesh. At the same time, the commune was embroiled in a huge legal battle over the township of Antelope. And the thing was that they had poisoned. I think they poisoned the fruit out there. I think it was salad. I'm trying to read up on it real quick. Hold on. Oh yeah. Sheila Silverman, in 1984, Sheila Silverman coordinated an attack alongside the Rajneeshpuram citizens to infect the salad bars at least 10 restaurants in the county seat of Wesco County with salmonella. So they infected a lot of people, and 45 people were hospitalized due to it. 45 people were hospitalized, but in all total, it was 751 that were poisoned or affected by it. It was actually one of the single largest biological warfare attacks in the United States history, because it was just like a whole big old thing going on with the Rajneeshpuram people and the town of Antelope. So basically, that's like one of the other things when you're talking about biological warfare, and you have stuff like our groups like Shinrikyo, and then you have the Rajneeshpuram in Oregon. It's like questioning like what drives them to that far, like what part of like domination do they need, or what drives them to have that, have that sort of power. Moving on. Let's see, what am I looking at? So you have the different cults are actually considered, they're calling themselves religions, but everyone's calling them as they see them now. Yeah. They have, they're okay. there's some people that are considered, they're like, there's like, there's the Branch Davidians, the whole Waco attack. And that group was led by David Koresh. That was messed up. Then you have the Children of God, aka the Family International. As I was telling you, David Berg is one of the ones that is the person that was running this stuff, and it was calling. It was a very, very, disturbing group. They still are a disturbing group. As far as I know, they are still an active sect. But they're like, it's like I don't know how to even like word it. I mean, some of the shit that they practice is disgusting. You're promoting a thing called flirty fishing, so it's like prostitution without the money. They're against anti-pedophilia laws, which kind of drives them to a point where they're actually encouraging adult-child relationships. It's disgusting. And they think it's okay because David Berg said it was. He's a piece of shit. Marshall Applewhite and Heaven's Gate, we all know what happened to them. So it's just like, people have their... gross. And it's not just in the U.S. I mean, there's cults everywhere. You have, like I said, we just covered Shinrikyo. And then there's just like different groups everywhere. So no, it's not just in the U.S. There's cults everywhere. And like there's some that like that the movies portray or like take variations from. So it's kind of like some of them, like like the Bubble Boy thing, when they're making fun of the bright and shiny people, and it's like funny because how they're like thinking they're gonna mutate if they don't set free the chosen one, and then you have the circus freaks right like incognito with them, and they're just messing with them. That part just made me crack up. We're changing. It's just like we're mutating. And this shit was funny. I thought it was funny. My mom was like looking at me like I was sitting there crack up because of the part where there's something wrong with his hands. He's got like flippers for hands, and yeah, you had to see it to believe it. So yeah, there is a bunch of different there's a bunch of movies regarding cults too. If you look up, there's some Lifetime movies that kind of cover one of the other open secret cult movements, which actually is called the FDLS. And you have like the Mormonism, because Mormonism is a kind of form of a cult in a way, because Joseph Smith was a person that said he was a prophet. Now there's some people call bullshit on that. FDLS, Warren Jeffs, the Kingston Group, the different various sects, the sects of the religion itself. You have people escaping the church or their religion because they don't want to be a part of it anymore because of the crap they go through, the systematic abuse, the child abuse, the torture. Like there's like various reports on it, but mostly it's swept under the rug because they have people bought out from it. The shows that my mom and I do watch, we actually watch a show called Escaping Polygamy, and the girls involved are part of the families, involved. Right now I'm looking at movies that do have fictional cults, and they're actually based off of some real ones. So you have Midsommar. Midsommar is like with the neo-paganism. That's a crazy movie if you haven't seen it. It's just like crazy. You have The Empty Man. You have Charlie Says is actually the Manson family. Charles Manson, we all know who they were about. Ottawa, Therefore, they killed Sharon Tate and the area. What was that? What was Abigail Folger, the heiress to the Folger fortune? She was murdered along with her husband. There was actress Sharon Tate, who was pregnant with Roman Polanski's child. I think somebody had bought that house like a long time ago, and like they say they hear shit or whatever, and then you have people that are still obsessed with the Manson family go up to their house on La Bianca Drive, and they have security. They have the whole road, or they have the thing gated so no one could come and like bug them. But there were some people that used to kind of make a disturbing pilgrimage up there to like pay homage to that Manson family or some shit like that. Yeah, people are crazy. There's a movie called The Other Lamb. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. They just have so many movies that are crazy. Children of the Corn. Oh my god, there's like how many fucking movies regarding Children of the Corn. So, we all know the whole premise. Children of the Corn regarding he who walks behind the rose. And who is he who walks behind the rose, they say? They say it's the devil. It's Satan himself. Corrupting the minds of children to kill their parents, to sacrifice them. Sacrifice adults. It's kind of like, yeah, there's like how many Children of the Corn movies? Like, I want to say 9, 10, like 9. It's like the same amount as Freddy Krueger. And they did a remake. The remake is being done in New Zealand, as much as I believe. I think. So we'll see how that one comes out. Let's see. Yeah. They actually have one movie with when Isaac comes back, and that shit's just crazy. He looks like he looks like a little wrinkle raisin. I'm just like, oh shit. Yeah, there's just like a bunch of movies out here. If you actually watch some of the movies that are like on there, you kind of freak out because you're like, how are things like how are people allowed to get away with shit without any legal repercussions? What do you think, Ma?
I think that they get away with it because really nobody does anything about it until it's too late. They don't question the behavior of people. And there's just, but I question everything.
I think that's like the best thing to do is question everything, because you never know.
Yeah, when they start acting up and acting crazy, come on.
In other terms, don't drink the fucking Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Another movie that was kind of involved involved cults. A cult is called The Sound of My Voice, and this was filmed in 2011, or it came out in 2011, and it's about two documentary filmmakers who attempt to expose a cult leader, claiming that she's a person from the future, and the cult leader's name is Maggie, and the two protagonists are Peter and Lorna. So they try to expose her as a fraud. And when the cult leaders, or when the cult consider, like, they get inside, or to where they're like deep inside enough to where they're getting ready to meet Maggie, the cult considers them like, okay, they're ready to meet her, they have like a series of rituals before they can actually meet her, because she lives in a fucking basement. So this is what I'm going to read you guys, like a bits of parts of the synopsis, so you guys can get the gist of it. If you guys want to watch it, you can stream it on Amazon, whatever streaming service you have, Google Play, Apple. I think it's on Apple TV too. So Los Angeles substitute teachers, Peter and his aspiring writer girlfriend Lorna are a couple in their 20s making a film documentary. Their subject is a secretive cult led by a mysterious Maggie, whom they plan to expose as a fraud. When the cult considers Peter and Lorna ready to meet Maggie, they are made to shower thoroughly and dressed in white surgical gowns. When they're driven blindfolded to a secret basement location and received by Klaus, who is probably one of her acolytes, with whom they exchange a distinctive, intricate handshake, which they have been practicing. Peter and Lorna then join 8 other members to meet Maggie, who uses an oxygen tank and implies that the showering and clothing requirements are to avoid aggravating her illness. So she claims to be allergic to everything and eats only homegrown foods and survives off of oxygen. They meant oxygen, not canned air, because there was another thing which is canned air, so it was funny. Let's see. Maggie claims to be a time traveler from the year 2054, and she describes the future as riddled with war, famine, and struggle, and has come back to select a special band of chosen people to prepare for what may lay ahead. She leads the group in a series of intense psychological exercises and tells them about herself and the future, never proving or disproving her extraordinary claim. Maggie's charismatic manner is powerful, and both Lorna and Peter have moments in which they waver between skepticism and belief. Lorna is especially concerned as she notices Peter, who's intentionally adamant that Maggie was a charlatan, seems to be now intrigued and even attracted to Maggie. After several group meetings, Maggie instructs Peter to bring her to an eccentric 8-year-old Abigail Pritchett, one of his students. Maggie insists Abigail is her mother, and Peter and Lorna will be banned from the group if he fails to comply, which Peter admits that he was considering following Maggie's orders. Lorna is outraged and accuses him of falling for Maggie's deception. After they argue, Lorna is privately approached by Carol, a woman who identifies herself as a Justice Department agent. Carol tells Lorna that Maggie is wanted for a variety of felonies. Lorna agrees to set Maggie up to be captured and hide this plan from Peter. With Lorna's help, Peter arranges for Maggie to meet the student in public at the LeBray Tar Pits during a class field trip. When Maggie meets the little girl, Peter is amazed to see them in wordless perform the cult's intricate handshake. Abigail asks how she knew her secret handshake, and Maggie reverently responds, "You taught it to me." Men in police uniforms burst in the room and seize Maggie as cult members angrily accuse Peter of betraying Maggie. He exchanges glances with Lorna, who smiles slightly in affirming her role in Maggie's capture. Abigail asks Peter who Maggie was, and he responds stricken he does not know. So it comes to show, or kind of proves to show, that, brainwashing goes so far. I mean, as to where you, as you can see, when I just read you, the synopsis of the movie To the Sound of My Voice, that, you get away with, trying to kidnap a kid, or, take someone to a child, and you have no idea what they have in plan for them, Like I said, most cults, thrive off of nefarious intent. So that was it for cults. I think I'm done talking about this shit because I'm tired of watching these fucking videos. Each one is basically the same derivative and the same fucking weird ass people who want to do the same thing that they will probably never achieve. And those who encourage nefarious behaviors against children, I hope they all fucking rot. I'm just saying that because, you know what? It's true. They need to just be fucking castrated and thrown to the wolves. Join us tomorrow as we discuss something I'm going to pull from a hat. So I'm going to make some fucking subjects up. This has been Odd Pause with the Odd Broad. You guys stay safe out there. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. And stay away from idiots. And don't get brainwashed. We'll check you later.